Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of The Raven Speaks. Now, The Raven Speaks is a series of videos about a variety of subjects and is not intended for kids. New episodes will be released when I have the time and when I can't keep quiet about a topic. Feel free to comment below to suggest the topic for a future episode. And talking about viewer requests, today's video was a request by drummer 7808, so hopefully they like this. Anyways, on to the video. The Animorphs series gave readers different villains and obstacles for the group to struggle against. The main antagonist of the series was Fisher 3, leader of the secret invasion of Earth. But every now and again, a different enemy would pop up. One such enemy was the boy who tried to take down the Animorphs, David. His main storyline was in books 20 through 22, which has been nicknamed the David Trilogy. A question that comes up among fan wars from time to time is what drove David to eventually go against the people that took him in. I believe it was because David valued the ability to be in control over any sense of loyalty. My nose just decided to itch, so that right as the video started, my nose was like, I'm going to itch. I hate this. Part 1. David had a pampered life before joining the Animorphs. We don't know much about David before he gets the Animorphs involved in his life, but we do have little breadcrumbs to go on about that unknown period of his life. Such as, we do know that David isn't poor, so whatever he wanted was not a problem financially. Plus, we also know by the fact he has an illegal pet cobra that his parents are willing to go against the law to get David what he wants. Since David's parents pampered him so much, it would be impossible for them to notice that he was a narcissist. Maybe if he was more used to controlling that side of himself, he would have made an awesome Animorph. Part 2. David moved around a lot due to his dad's job. David's father's job at the NSA forced David and his family to move around a lot. Unlike other kids around his age, he was never given the chance to put down roots anywhere, as once he felt comfortable somewhere, he had to move yet again. Moving around so much meant that David was always the new kid at school. Unlike books such as Twilight might suggest, you won't get instantly popular when you're the new kid. Like, you won't start getting hit on by a bunch of people, being asked to date by a bunch of people. You know, that doesn't happen like that. Being the new kid means you have to navigate the school's hierarchy to figure out where you belong. So David was constantly having to reassert himself, which would cause a good amount of stress. And moving around so often would mean he couldn't form any lasting friendships. Communicating long distance would be a pain not many people would keep up with. So not only was David constantly having to figure out where he belonged, he was doing so alone. Being so far removed from any chance at forming lasting connections most likely meant David felt his only friends were his parents. They were the only constants in his life after all. Part 3. David took every opportunity to better himself. David most likely took every opportunity to better himself in some manner without worrying about the bigger picture. Because he had no one except his parents, his innate ability. While practicing, I kept on messing this line up. Let's hope this only takes me 2 tries to get through. Okay. Let's do this. Because he had no one except his parents, his innate inability to care for others helped this darker side of him grow. Got it. Yes. 2 tries this time. Eee! Jeez. My life is boring if you can't already tell. Okay, back to the video at hand. I am assuming this due to how David decided to instantly sell this scalpel device for money. The boy didn't care about solving the mystery of the blue box. He just wanted something he could quickly get. If he had decided to investigate more, he could have found himself with the ability to morph and have avoided the Animorphs altogether. Though, yeah, he probably would have either gotten stuck in morph or found himself with a yerk in his head. Part 4. David joined the Animorphs at a bad time. Not only was David's own nature a factor in him turning against the Animorphs, there were the factors of when and how he arrived into the group. David joined the Animorphs when they were still recovering from Cassie's latest adventure. Right before David arrived on the scene, Cassie decided her pacifist nature wouldn't allow her to fight. Very long and philosophical story short, she decided to reach a hand out to a Yeerk who saw that there had to be a better way than the current Yeerk system of government. At one point, the Yeerk went into Cassie's head, and later Cassie became a Nothlit for a short time to prove her message of peace. And if you want to know why it was only a short time as an Nothlit, that's a story for for a different day. So none of the Animorphs were thinking clearly as they usually would be. Besides the Animorphs not being at the top of their game, they didn't have too much time to spend thinking if they should ask David to join the group or not. They didn't have weeks observing the boy and deciding if he would actually be a good fighter. They had mere moments. The Animorphs had planned to steal this scaffold device before Visher 3 arrived to take it. Things didn't go as planned, and the group barely got the morphing cube with their lives. They had managed to save David, but not his parents. So they had the chance to rescue him from life as a controller by forcing him to fight a war he might not be prepared for. Now, the other Animorphs, besides Axe, had all been tossed into the war without any preparation, but they had also been given time to grow comfortable with nearly dying on a regular basis. Also, besides Axe and Tobias, they could still go back to their normal lives after battle, something not afforded to David. So when David woke up after being knocked out, his whole world had changed. He could no longer hide in any sense of normalcy, as the Yeerks would be looking for him. And instead of sleeping in a bed, he slept in Cassie's barn. Oh, and David wasn't introduced to the war by a simple mission, but by one of the most important missions the Animorphs had ever had. Part 6. Shit. I can't count. Or read, apparently. Part 5. David thought the Animorphs were trying to control him. David was in a whole new world with no chance of ever going back. But instead of treating the war as a war, he treated it like the Animorphs were just another clique in school. So when the Animorphs made a request of him or needed him to do something for the mission, he didn't react like he was a soldier defending the freedom of humanity. He reacted as if he was the new kid at school doing his best to make a place for himself. Since David was putting everything in terms of school, he did not respect Jake's authority at all. To David, Jake was not a leader doing his best to fight a war that demanded everything of him. No! To David, Jake was merely a bully that had decided to pick on the new kid. David took every opportunity to show how much better he was than Jake. Part 6. Deep down, David only cared about himself and wanted to gain back control. In David's life before the Animorphs, he had been in control. Sure, he was always the new kid, but his parents allowed him a great deal of freedom in what he was able to do. His father had even gone against the law to get his son a snake. While fighting the Yeerks, David had no control of his life. Instead of the boy getting mad at the Yeerks for making his whole new life possible, he blamed the Animorphs. He blamed the group for taking away any semblance of a normal life and ignored the fact if they had done nothing, he would have a Yeerk inside his head. And the itchy nose returns. Dun dun dun. As he truly believed his delusions of the Animorphs picking on him and controlling him, he decided he had to leave the group. And not by just leaving the group like Cassie or Tobias had, but by more violent means. David's ideas of leaving the group varied from siding with Fisher 3 or killing each of the Animorphs. While the traitor didn't believe in murdering humans, he had no problem with killing someone that was a morph. Part 7. David's sense of control and superiority are what led to his downfall. There is no question that David was a force to be reckoned with. He was cruel, inventive, and was an enemy unlike any the Animorphs had ever encountered before. But with all his strengths, he had a powerful weakness that was the way our heroes brought him down. He believed he was the smartest person to ever exist. David didn't think the Yeerks or Animorphs would ever be able to stop him. He thought so little of everyone that he didn't consider these warriors able to formulate a plan to take him down. Why would he give them so much credit? Another way the Animorphs managed to bring David down was that they knew he had killed a random red-tailed hawk and not Tobias. So he didn't figure to think about the Nauntlet when making any of his plans. And who was the Animorph to make up the plan to take David down by exploiting his ego? It was Cassia. She, more than any of the other Animorphs, was able to read people. For the most part, she used that particular talent to keep peace in the group, but for David, she used it for a cruel purpose. And that's why you don't piss off Cassie. So, that is my opinion of why David turned on the group. David is a really interesting character, and I love talking about him. And like every time I reread the David trilogy, I walk away with something new. It is just an amazing part of the Animorphs series. And so I do want to ask you though, why do you think David turned against the group? What are your opinions? Comment down below with them. I'd love to know, maybe start a really nerdy discussion. And also, feel more than free to suggest the topic for a future video. I would really love this show just to turn into me doing viewer requests. And it doesn't just have to be about Animorphs. I also am a Game of Thrones fan. I love Hannibal. I'm a fan of different things, so, just suggest, something, and if I'm not part of the fandom, I'll tell you, and please like this video if you think David is an interesting character. And also subscribe because I will do more The Raven Speaks. There's no real set schedule of how often I'll have them out, but you don't want to miss a moment of my delightful insights. So, hey. And of course, stay safe. Remember not to leave your house if you don't have to. I know this is really dangerous. I know it's really draining to stay inside all the time. And if you're out and about, remember to wear masks because most likely there's not going to be a lot of people wearing masks outside and you don't want to get sick. I don't want you to get sick at all. So, bye. And now this is where the feed's coming to, like that's where I can see what I look like and everything. And over there's the camera. So, there's no way for me to make this part look good because I have to turn and do. Oh, and as always, it's Keyboard Penguin. Woo! Actually, I can just hold out there. Woo! Okay, let's see. End stream. Do woo!